Good morning and welcome to the City of Phoenix Economic Development and Housing Subcommittee on Monday, November 25th at 10 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order and we will turn to our city attorney to explain public comment.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. During public comment, members of the public may address the subcommittee for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona open meeting law permits the subcommittee members to listen to the comments, but prohibits members from discussing or acting on the matters presented. City code requires speakers to present their comments in a respectful and courteous manner. Profane language, threats, personal attacks on members of the public, council members, or staff are not allowed. A person who violates these rules may lose their opportunity to continue to speak. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, David. Next, we will allow the interpreter a moment to introduce themselves, and Oscar Monroy.
Good morning. My name is Oscar Monroy. I'll be serving today as your interpreter for this meeting. Now I would like to introduce myself to the Spanish-speaking audience. Buenos días y bienvenidos a la junta de esta mañana, Subcomité de Desarrollo Económico y Vivienda. Estaré sirviendo como su intérprete esta mañana. Si usted va a dar un comentario público, por favor hable despacio, con claridad y evite tener distracción de fondo. Finalmente, pause después de cada una o dos oraciones para poder interpretar lo que está diciendo de la manera más completa posible. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is call to public. I don't believe we have anybody for call to public. Just wanted to double check that. Thank you, we do not. Now we'll move on to approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Motion passes unanimously. And we have Vice Mayor Stark is with us online today. Items 2, 3, and 4 are on consent. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 4. And, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Items 5 and 6 are for information only. Do members have any questions or need additional information? Okay.
No.
Hearing none, we will move to item 7, which is our Phoenix Film Office 50th anniversary. Joining us is Christine Mackey, our Community and Economic Development Director, Philip Bradstock, our Program Manager, and Destiny Dominguez, our Management Fellow. Thank you all for being here with us today. We look forward to this discussion and congratulations on the 50th anniversary.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. We are excited to be here today to talk to you about all the activity that's happened in the last 50 years with our Phoenix Film Office. As you indicated, the Film Commissioner is here with us today, as is Destiny Dominguez, who has been instrumental in the work that Mr. Bradstock has been doing over the last number of months. She was with Community and Economic Development in her rotation, and we were able to use her expertise for a number of items. As I mentioned, this is the 50th film anniversary for the City of Phoenix. Most people don't know that the City of Phoenix has its own film office and is incredibly busy. I watch Mr. Bradstock and his work that he does, whether it's on commercials, whether it's on feature films, whether it's on student films, in helping set up activities with police, road closures, being able to shoot B-roll in some of our more public areas. So excited for you to see and for our community to see all the work that goes on here. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bradstock to walk you through the activities that have happened.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm very pleased to present to you an overview of the 50th anniversary of the City of Phoenix Film Office. So first of all, the film office was established in 1974. It was originally housed under the city manager's office before moving into the public information office, and then over to community and economic development in 2005. It is the only city in all of Greater Phoenix that has a dedicated film office with a dedicated staff with industry expertise to run it. Excuse me there for a second. What's really interesting about the Phoenix Film Office is that we are one of 4 film offices in the entire state of Arizona that is certified by the Association of Film Commissioners International. Since 1974, we've only had 3 film commissioners. Dinah Batchelor from 1974 to 1978, Lucy Perez from 1978 through 2005, and then myself since 2006. So it's really great that there's always been consistency in the office, especially in order to navigate the city government and know who to talk to and when to talk to them. So let me give you a little idea of the role of the film office and really what we do. We come into the picture after the script has been locked or after the concept for the commercial has been solidified. At that point, the producers and location managers then reach out to us and we work on the logistics. What we try and do is to find the right site for them and go over maybe some of the issues that may arise, like filming downtown. Is there a special event going on where they want to be filming? Is there an activity going on in the park? Is it a day, maybe a weekend when we wouldn't allow filming normally? So we work through all the different options with the filmmakers and the producers. Then once we solidify the actual location, then we really focus in on working with the other city departments. And at that point, now let me give you a great example you may have seen last week. If you were on Adams between 1st and 2nd Avenue, anywhere from about 5 p.m. till 4 a.m., we had a production shooting out there that was replicating Chicago. So the whole street was filled with snow, fake snow blankets. That's maybe why you saw some of the white that's still out there. And so they shot there for 2 nights in a row. And it's for it's more of a Discovery ID type TV show where they're recreating a crime scene. And so they needed Chicago, and they shot there on the sidewalk here in Phoenix, which is very common for us to double other locations around the world. Once we get to the point where we are solidified with the location, we then issue the Phoenix Film and Digital Media Permit, which allows them access onto our property. And this is done in conjunction with all the different city departments. For example, the shoot that happened last week that involved the streets department for road restrictions and hooding meters. We had to turn off some of the lights for the light poles because the light was bleeding into the shot. We worked with the convention center for the parking garage because they needed to get a camera hanging out over the sidewalk. We also had to work with the convention center since they're redoing the building and they may have been doing construction outside in the area where we were trying to film. And of course, we have the police department there as well. Any city staff for any of these projects, whether it be at South Mountain Park, Papago, or in a downtown street with the police, these are costs that are all covered by the production company, so there is no cost to the city of Phoenix. And another thing we really focus on is the industry and development and support. So I work a lot with the community colleges, ASU and GCU, with their students, mostly on their capstone projects, to really give them an idea of what it's like going into the real world, getting off campus and shooting in an actual environment. We also work with high school students with the East Valley Institute of Technology, with the high school as well. Marketing promotion, we go to conferences and attend events in conjunction with the state film office and other film offices around the state, primarily Tucson and Flagstaff, to expose Arizona to filmmakers in places like Los Angeles, or it could be New York, or it could actually be overseas, although I've not personally gone yet, but there's a big event that goes on in London every year. So it's a really great way to reach an international market through these conferences. And we also promote local events such as the Phoenix Film Festival, the Almost Famous Film Festival, the ASU Student Film Festival. So we're always seeking those type of opportunities. Phoenix has a very rich film history. I'm sure you're familiar with many of these movies that'll be flying onto the screen right now. My favorite one has always been Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But we've had a lot of recent movies, such as Everything Must Go with Will Ferrell, which actually, that road is Calle de Rosa in Arcadia. And the reason why the production company picked that, well, first of all, I'll back up and say that the movie was supposed to take place in Dallas. And they were looking for Dallas McMansions, which we don't really have that architectural style out here. So we don't have the kind of weather that they have. So they ended up coming out here to Arizona, and they picked this road because as you look to the west, it hooks to the south. So there's kind of a bend in it, and cameras don't like to see on for infinity. They want some sort of closure on the back end there. So this particular movie, all the residents on the street were on board. They worked with the production company. We had to reroute the public works because this is an alley pickup trash area, and of course it was bulk trash right when they were going to be filming and having to place lights in there. Then you have movies like Noel that takes place at Desert Ridge. So we're very, very excited to work with them. And of course, Transformers 5 shot up north of the Deer Valley Airport.
And Madam Chair, before Film Commissioner goes on, I will share with you two things. Number one, I did try to make the film permit for Transformers 5 contingent on me getting to meet Mark Wahlberg, but that didn't work so well for me. And then the fun thing for our team on the Noel movie that we worked with Dave Larcher with Vestar on, our team got to be the extras on the light rail where it was shot. So it's also exciting to be part of the team just for the fun of being around the movies.
And so film is much more than just film. Obviously, we think of the movie theaters, and that's what film comes to mind. But film is actually much more than that. It covers a wide breadth of multimedia. So whether it's commercials, still photo shoots, student projects, TV shows, reality shows, we work on all of them that come across our board. Specifically, and even just since we got out of the election cycle, we did a lot with the different candidates that were out here filming their commercials as well. But we also work on a lot of TV shows too. Could be a 90 Day Fiancé. We're seeing a lot of those dating shows from Netflix coming out here to the Phoenix market. Great Christmas Light Fight always comes out here every year to film, so they're a great group to work with. But there's just a lot more than what you think of as traditional film. And all of this together this is our past year's annual report fiscal year. It was $21.8 million spent out here locally. And this is direct dollars spent. I don't use any type of multipliers in any of my reporting. And I get these numbers because I survey all the production companies that come through my front door. And then every 6 months, I survey all the local production companies to volunteer information. Because it could be a local production company. Let's say the shot takes place on the Tempe Mill Avenue Bridge. Obviously, that would not go through my office, but that's still important because they are hiring the same people that make all the commercials. And so those numbers do calculate into the impact of the filming here in Greater Phoenix. And so when we look at our past 5 years, we've been averaging about $16.8 million spent locally here in Greater Phoenix. Obviously, we're above that right now, which is really great. We've received 178 unique inquiries into my office on average. We typically issue 93 permits, and it creates about just over 4,400 jobs, and those are crew and talent positions. Back in 2006, and let me give you just a quick overview, 30,000-foot view. Film has become a very incentivized industry right now. It started out in the 1990s when Canada offered an incentive, and they started to see a lot of productions from Hollywood move north of the border. In 2000, states like Louisiana and New Mexico offered a film incentive, and we started to see those productions go to those states. And as a result of that, basically over 40 states in the U.S. developed some sort of an incentive program. So we had one from 2006 to 2010 that brought in 56 projects to the state of Arizona. And I'd like to just clarify that this was administered and overseen by, at the time, the Arizona Department of Commerce. There's $109 million was spent here locally. And in Phoenix, our average annual impact during those years, or spending those years, was $34.4 million, which obviously is increased from our current $16.8 million right now. We do have a new motion picture incentive program. It actually just started in 2023. It has $125 million annual allocation, and it's a refundable tax credit based upon percentages of the qualified expenditures here in Arizona. This program is unfortunately launched 2 weeks after the writers went on strike in Hollywood in the middle of May. And then while the writers were still on strike, the actors went on strike. So the program really didn't get its feet underneath it in 2023. Hollywood is still dealing with the strikes right now in 2024 with the scheduling. So while we have seen some interest in some projects that have gone through the program, it's not necessarily the major projects that we were hoping to attract at the time, but we're really looking to 2025, and that's when Hollywood's thinking, that's when a lot of projects are going to get going. And just to give you an idea of how incentivized the film industry is, this is just a map of the United States. There's maps for Europe, there's maps for Asia, Africa, South America as well, and they all offer some form of an incentive. Ours is capped at $125 million annually. States like Georgia have no cap. California right now has $330 million annual cap. They're looking to raise that to $750 million. So it is very much an incentives game where these major motion pictures go. And with that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Destiny Dominguez.
Thank you, Phil, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. As a management fellow and throughout my rotation with the Community and Economic Development Department, I really had the opportunity to just familiarize myself with the Phoenix Film Office, so it's a great pleasure to be here today to just outline some of the strategic initiatives that will continue to move the Film Office forward. On October 30th, the Phoenix City Council directed staff to proceed with replacing the permitting system, which was developed in 1998 using Microsoft Access. This system now requires 4 additional programs to continue functioning. The new permitting system, Film App, streamlines the entire permitting process, allowing clients to now submit all required information in one submission and also monitor their permit status as it's being evaluated. The modernized system aims to eliminate duplicate data entry and provide a more efficient, user-friendly experience for both applicants and city staff. Additionally, we are very thankful for your support in allowing us to adjust the film permit fee structure, which had been in place for nearly 29 years. In 1974, when the Film Office was created, that fee was set at $50, and in 1995, it was increased to $100. We now have a much more flexible fee structure, which includes a general, low-impact, and student permit appropriate for the different types of productions that our Film Office receives. Next, our film commissioner actively connects with producers nationwide to showcase Phoenix's filming opportunities. Though our strong customer service remains our best calling card, we continue to develop relationships with major studios and participate in industry events, often collaborating with the state, Tucson, and Flagstaff film offices to promote Arizona's film potential. Locally, we work to connect outside productions with Phoenix-based crews, vendors, and talent, while supporting local film festivals that bring new filmmakers to our city. Additionally, developing a skilled film workforce is a key priority for our film office. As Phil mentioned, we actively engage with film students at Grand Canyon University, Arizona State University, and Scottsdale Community College, as well as high school students at the East Valley Institute of Technology, guiding them through the permitting process, location selection, and sharing budget saving strategies for their projects. I'd also like to note that because major productions filming in Phoenix often require union crews, we collaborate with those local unions to strengthen our professional crew base. This approach ensures we're building a talented workforce while helping productions find the skilled professionals they need to successfully execute their projects. Lastly, we love to advocate for our local organizations, and so one of the ways we do this is through the representation our film commissioner provides by being on the board of directors for the Arizona Production Association, where he advocates for educational programs and networking opportunities that benefit our local film community. Additionally, Mr. Bradstock is on the board of directors for the Arizona Film Coalition, where he promotes policy that supports the film industry and advocates for local production. And I'll now turn it back to Mr. Phil Bradstock for closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Destiny. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. And I just want to close by saying the really great thing about Phoenix is the consistency of having a film office for this long. And it really enables large productions from all over the country that come here to know that they just need one permit in order to get their project done. And so that's why we see a lot of the larger, more complex projects coming here to Phoenix. Thank you very much. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions? Councilwoman Hodge-Washington.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you for the great presentation again, and congratulations on 50 years of doing what you do to make Phoenix Film Office a success. I noticed that the information was provided in terms of the greater Phoenix area, and I didn't know if we had any way of going forward, maybe distinguishing how much is attributable specifically to the city of Phoenix and the work that's being done here. Because as you stated, we are one of 4 offices in the entire state. I just thought it would be helpful to capsulate that information.
Madam Chair, Councilwoman Washington, because this is not a brick and mortar industry, it is very difficult to find that, to capture that exact data. And I'll just take the project that shot here on this past week, Randy Murray Productions. Even though his office is right here in Phoenix on First Avenue, he could shoot a scene in Mesa. He may need to run up to Flagstaff to shoot a scene. It could be multiple locations. So there's really no way for us to pinpoint exactly what goes on here in Phoenix, because it could be a commercial with Grand Canyon University. They may have one day in Phoenix, one day in Mesa, and another day in Flagstaff. So it's a challenge because, again, because there's really no brick and mortar. This is more, it's kind of it's all over the place. So that's why we look at Greater Phoenix for our data.
Thank you for the clarification.
So I just want to follow up on that. The data would not include what happens in Flagstaff or Tucson. Is that fair?
Madam Chair, that is correct. We ask when we send the surveys out for the spending in Greater Phoenix specifically.
Okay.
Which would include any locals that were hired that went to Flagstaff because they do reside here in Phoenix, in the Greater Phoenix area.
Wonderful. And then I look forward to hearing back from y'all in maybe a year or so to see how this incentive is working for us. It's a little concerning to hear that other states like Georgia don't have any kind of cap. So would love to know if we get close to that cap, or we need to talk to our friends at the state capitol, because this would be an incredible opportunity with our great weather. I think that most films should be made here. Vice Mayor, do you have any questions?
Actually, just a comment. I did not realize how much work went into your office. You must be one busy person all the time, just trying to work with all the different departments to get streets closed or work with other cities. I am really, really impressed by the level of work in our film office, and congratulations for 50 years.
Madam
Yes.
Chair?
Thank you.
Madam Vice Mayor, I'm so glad you recognize that. We are so fortunate to have someone of Phil Bradstock's caliber working for the city of Phoenix with his knowledge and his expertise in film. He does come out of the film industry 18 years ago. So the reason that you see the level of activity with the professionalism that you see here today is because of Mr. Bradstock.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor, for acknowledging that. And I think that anytime we make life simpler for the businesses who come and choose to do business in Phoenix, kudos to us and to you. So thank you for all that hard work, both of you, and dedication to making this successful. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us this morning. And congratulations. All right, item number 8 is the Halo Vista update, which is a new mixed-use development. And we have with us again Christine Mackey, and joining us Nathan Wright, the Deputy Community and Economic Development Director.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we are thrilled to be with you here today to give you an overview on a new development going on here in Phoenix. It has received global attention over the last 60 days, which is a new science and technology park in North Phoenix known as Halo Vista. As we look at kind of from a background on the project, I'm going to bring it back to another major project that we have here in Phoenix, and that's Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. TSMC did look for another location in the United States in 2016. They did not find a location that was of interest to them at that time. And so a team, GPAC in the city of Phoenix, we're not an economic development team that takes no lightly. We did an exit interview with TSMC and asked them, what was it that they didn't find? What was not here? It didn't make sense to me. We have Intel and Microchip and NXP and ASM and ASML and many, many others. And what they shared was that where they are very successful in Taiwan, they are embedded as part of a science and technology park. They can walk right across the street with their similar like-minded companies and solve problems instead of sending emails back and forth or having to fly to a different location. When there's a challenge or a new product coming online, they just walk right across the street and they work with those individuals. So we actually spent 3 years following that conversation with the Greater Phoenix Economic Council. Martin Perez, Special Projects Administrator, who's here with us in the audience today, Nathan, myself, and Stefan Frisia from GPAC, building a science and technology park on paper. We did not take no lightly, and we wanted to go back with them at some point in time to tell them why they should come here. In 2019, Mayor Gallego was gracious enough to go back with us into Taiwan for a meeting with TSMC. What was supposed to be a 30-minute meeting turned into 2.5 hours. And at the end of the meeting, TSMC said, "I can't believe you listened. We need to come back to Phoenix and take a look." True to their word, they flew back in February of 2020 and with their experts, took a look around and realized by March this was a location that they were very interested in being. We worked over the summer to zone the 3,500 acres that is from I-17 to Dead Man's Wash and from the 303 to Carefree Highway, the 74, and zoning it with our planning and development department, Josh Bednarik, who had the lead on this project. Can't speak highly enough about him, to get zoning, an incredibly robust zoning through without being able to tell anybody who we were zoning it for. And I give credit to Josh Bednarik's relationships in the village and in the community as to why this was so successful. And in 2020, TSMC was the successful bidder of 1,100 acres of the 3,500 acre PUD, which now to date has resulted in TSMC with a $65 billion capital investment, the largest foreign direct investment in our country's history. When we look at Biscuit Flats, this is an area that is 12,000 acres planned for future development for ages. And so what I'm going to do now is turn it over to Nathan Wright, Deputy Director, to really talk about Biscuit Flats and where we're at today. Nathan?
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. Thank you, Chris, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. The area was previously planned for residential, and we spent that time back in 2020 bringing it to an industrial job-creating uses. And then, as was previously mentioned, we had the zoning, TSMC's investment, and then this is a nice map to kind of give you context of the area. Back in 2016, it was named Wall Street West for the amount of fintech, USAA, Farmers Insurance. And you just see Deer Valley, really, it's one of our busiest industrial submarkets in the valley. Advanced manufacturing is at its core, but you also have these amazing financial jobs around it. You see Gore, some health tech. Halo Vista, there in red, the 2,400 acres. We've added some of the more recent locates to that area, suppliers from TSMC and other amazing jobs that were created.
And Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, just to put it in perspective, Nate, if you wouldn't mind going back to the previous slide, Biscuit Flats, which is this really small area of the city of Phoenix, is 2.5 times, nearly 2.5 times the size of the entire city of Anthem. So just in perspective as to how large this area really is, it is a significant development area for the city of Phoenix.
Yes, and as we work towards the auction, we just would like to take a moment to thank the Arizona State Land Department. The Mac Real Estate Group was the applicant on the site. We worked for years. There's some members of our water department here worked every week on this project for the past few years. Leading up to May of this year, Craig Hennig is in the audience. He didn't bring the paddle with him, but he still has it. I've seen it on his desk. They were able to just raise the paddle one time, and they were the successful winning bidders. And since, a little bit more about Mac Real Estate Group, they partnered with McCourt Partners, which is great because these are two national level developers, very, around the country are well known and respected, and that really gives us the best chance to be successful at a development of this size. But Mac has a long history here in the Valley, especially around the Deer Valley area. They've landed several of our amazing employers up there. We really got to know them in 2021. They were the successful bidders on 224 acres, and they we had been working with suppliers, key suppliers for TSMC, and when they came in, they picked the ball up once they were the winning bidders, and they were instrumental in getting one of the key chemical suppliers for TSMC up. They're the very first supplier of the suppliers to be operating, and we're very pleased for how that worked. And since then, they've landed several other suppliers and world-class employers. And this evening, there was a kickoff in October, and it was a great event. And at that time, it was named Halo Vista. This 2,400 acres, it was unveiled, and you can kind of see the halo around TSMC. But Halo Vista, it's a world-class research and technology park. This area in yellow is planned for 12 million square feet of industrial build-to-suit. We're going to shoot for advanced manufacturing, but because that's really at its core. You have some of the most redundant power and gas, as well as the 12 different types of gases that feed the fab. So it's ideally set up for advanced manufacturing. However, you'll see support uses here. You'll see some distribution and logistics. You'll see some data center uses. It's an amazing opportunity. We work with national site selectors weekly, and some of the comments that we've received are, hey, this is the best shovel-ready site in the United States. So we're very excited to see this moving forward. In red, you see the 3.5 million square feet of flex tech and office. And we call it the Sonoran Oasis Research and Technology Park. Think research and development. It could be lab space. Think chip design. Chris was at the...
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, one of the areas of focus, we were fortunate enough that Mac Real Estate Group and McCourt Partners did go with us to Taiwan this past summer. Martin and Nate and I and Mr. Hennig, who's in the audience with us, but Mr. Mack and the team from McCourt Partners went with us. We had a significant discussion with companies in Taiwan that had been here on the biosciences front. Madam Chair, you met with them and helped them as we were at 850 PBC giving a presentation to them. And then Councilman Hodge Washington, you met with a number of them at Bio International this last year. Councilman Robinson, we're going to have to get you in to meet with those bio companies here very soon. But what we've talked about with Mr. Mack was isolating an area here that could be a fully integrated biosciences and research park. So while this is 2,400 total acres, we can see carving off kind of some specialty areas. Maybe it's 40 or 50 acres that is biosciences focus. Maybe it's 40 or 50 acres that's in emerging technologies, or it's in battery technology, or in EV. So like-minded companies that have an integrated vertical relationship with a chip manufacturing company makes absolute sense as to the types of companies that we would see in both the Forge and in Sonoran Oasis to locate. It's not, as Mr. Wright stated, it's not all going to be semiconductor companies, but there'll be similar companies, they'll be like-minded, there'll be companies that work together in creating that world-class park.
And in addition, as we move closer to the freeway, the I-17, over 500,000 square feet of retail. Think major destination retailers, restaurants, supporting uses, anything that the employees and the residents here will find as amenities. We have in the northeast corner enough land for an auto mall of approximately 10 dealers. It could be a little more or a little less than that. And then in the southeast corner, more residential. There could be medical office uses. The zoning allows for almost 9,000 units here, as well as there's been conversations with the Deer Valley Unified School District for some educational uses. We really have an amazing opportunity here. It's going to be a hub of industry in the Southwest and in the entire United States, and we're so excited to have a great partners to work with. Here's some just examples of what we foresee in the Forge. These are very versatile buildings. You can have different uses here. You can have some smaller retail uses, a mattress store. It could be a trampoline park. It could be, I take my daughter to a dance class in a building like this. But you could also have those heavier advanced manufacturing. You know, the truck courts are in the back. Could be cold storage. So some of these pictures here are some of the actual buildings that they just completed up at Deer Valley Airport. And then at Sonoran Oasis Research and Technology Park, this is the highest quality research office. Think, Desert Ridge and Kierland and Price Corridor, really where world-class companies will want to locate. Could be educational uses, doing research and development and that chip design that we talked about, as well as biomedical uses. And then the destination retail, the MAC group, they've primarily done industrial and multifamily, but around the country, they've done some amazing mixed-use projects in Florida, and even their office in New York City at Columbus Square, the Time Warner Center. They were behind that that development, over 2 million square feet and 2 towers. It's an amazing with the Whole Foods and a mall in the ground floors with hotel, office, apartments. So they have that in their blood. The residential, you'll see education and really high quality opportunities for people to live, work, and play. And that all adds up to over 30 million square feet of development. Just an amazing opportunity, and we're in economic development, so that comes out to about 62,000 jobs at full build out, and that's pretty conservative. Some estimates could be up to 80,000 jobs when it's all said and done. And you see, this is a great picture of some of the partners at the night of the kickoff event with Brian Harrison, the head of TSMC Arizona, Mayor Gallego, and Madam Chair O'Brien, and Economic Development with our partners, Mac Real Estate Group and McCourt. And I love the quote by Richard Mack: "It's not just a science park and not just a manufacturing district, it's a community, it's a city within a city." And we've really started to get national and even international recognition. And with that, I'll kick it over to Chris.
Madam Chair, you know that a project that has been launched and the activity that's coming and the interest it has, when I get a call a week ago last Friday from France who wants to do an on-camera interview with me about Halo Vista. And it's just one of those, like, my goodness, to have attention coming from so many different countries about our development at the city within a city. So very excited to be with you here today to give you an overview. We've had so many of our citizens with so much press really wonder what was this area going to become and what can they expect at Ultimate Build Out. And we are thrilled to be working on this over the next 25 years and bringing it forward. We can't thank enough the MAC Real Estate Group for their work on this activity. Mr. Craig Henning with us today. He has Craig, I'm not going to tell how many years experience you have in this market, but his father before him built a great portion of Deer Valley. They've always been community focused and driven by what is best for the community. We will be back before you. We're working on master plans with the water department, with planning and development, with our streets department, our transit department, and we will be back before you at your December meeting to discuss the terms that staff would be recommending of an infrastructure agreement through reimbursement of revenue that they create. The plans today are to break ground in 2025, infrastructure being the very first. As you can imagine, just site development of a 2,400 acre site will take significant amounts of time, but finishing 43rd Avenue and finishing Dove Valley and finishing 51st Avenue and others. Phase 1 will include the auto mall, retail, that Flex Tech office, and industrial, and are just thrilled to be back before you to have that discussion. So, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we are here to take any questions that you might have, and we'll be prepared to fully answer any questions relating to a potential agreement at your next month's meeting.
Members? Councilwoman Hodge-Washington.
I don't have any questions. I just had a few comments. I wanted to say congratulations to all involved. This was an execution of great partnership along with our departments. We heard about zoning, we hear about water, but we also heard about the outside partners such as GPAC, MAC Real Estate Group. McCourt, the land department, TSMC. This is a very significant project that would not have been done but for the partnership that we were able to develop. I love this project. It's a great example of our Deputy Mackey's her tried and true comment that her no is an opportunity to renegotiate. And because of this no, we are now having a facility here in our city that will not only support one of our partners, TSMC, but also provide what we range in about 60,000 to 70,000 jobs. It will support some of our major institutions. I'm excited. I just wanted to say a special thank you to everyone involved. Craig and Richard, thank you for all that you have done. Thank you for fighting with the City of Phoenix to bring this project here. And I look forward to seeing more success and hearing wonderful praise reports about what we are able to accomplish here. So thank you again to Director Mackey as well to Nathan Wright for all the work that you've done on this.
Councilman Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the only thing I want to say is congratulations. Councilwoman Hodge Washington said it best. You guys are to truly be congratulated for all the hard work, the visionary aspect of understanding what this area had to offer, and you hit it out of the ballpark, to use my little baseball analogy. So congratulations. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you both. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I too want to congratulate everyone involved, especially you, Chris. You're the Energizer Bunny of the city. I can't believe all the work you do to make our city move forward. So once again, great overview. Thank you again.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And for fear of repeating myself, I just need to share that I was only a councilwoman for about a nanosecond when Director Mackey came in to tell me, oh my gosh, this group that I have no idea who they are, about these acres that we believed will be part of the TSMC supplier network. I don't know much about them, and this could blow things up. And I was like, great, we need to figure this out. So I was a little nervous. But I am happy to say that Richard and Craig, I think, went well beyond our expectations in being a fabulous partner on those couple of hundred of acres. And so when they became the winner of the bid earlier this year, we couldn't have been more thrilled, because taking on the infrastructure requirements in this area is not for the faint of heart. And so I know we're going to hear about them in December, but I appreciate all the hard work and innovation and just everybody rolling up their sleeves. So thank you, Craig. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Chris and Nathan and Martin, for all that you have done to continue to move this forward. All of this is in District 1, and it is fabulous to have it there, but the impact is not just going to be on District 1, it will be on the entire city as well as the region. I know that Peoria and Glendale and those all around us and all across the state are benefiting from this. So thank you for taking no and turning it into a yes. And thank you for gambling on us, Craig and Richard. So we're so excited. I can't wait to hear more in December. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is for discussion and possible action. It is our Resource Innovation Campus Agreements Authorization, and we will hear from Christine Mackey again, Felipe Moreno, and Amanda Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I promise you this is the last time today you have to listen to me. We are over the moon to be with you here today to talk to you about our Resource Innovation Campus and a project that we are bringing forward for your consideration. I have had the privilege of working with Director Moreno and previous directors on the Resource Innovation Campus since 2015. It is a location that is on one of our former landfills and is our transfer station at 27th Avenue in Buckeye. I am now going to turn it over to Amanda Jordan, who is the program manager over our Resource Innovation Campus. I'm sorry, I'm going to give it to Felipe. I lied. I'm going to give it to Felipe to give an overview of some of the goals that we have with creating the RIC.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Happy to be here to talk about a very exciting Resource Innovation Campus. We've been engaged in circular economy back since 2012 with our Reimagine Phoenix campaign, so this is not new to us. We're actually leading the way in a lot of this talk of circular economy. One of the key metrics is waste diversion from the landfill, keeping that waste and turning it into something valuable. And so we're currently, as you can see, at a 36% waste diversion rate from the landfill, which is above the national average. One thing to call out that I think is significant is we're 36%, but we're a voluntary city. We don't mandate recycling or composting or any of the circular economy type behaviors out there. So it's in true partnership with our residents, with our sister departments, and with Mayor and Council's guidance to really be able to hit that mark and be above the national average, being a voluntary city. We're very focused on our 2030 goals, which is to get to 50% waste diversion by 2030, and then our ultimate goal of 2050 zero waste. So not too far off on the horizon, we have some big things to accomplish. So back in 2021, Mayor and Council, under your leadership, relaunched the Climate Action Plan. And this is really to emphasize, our part of this is to emphasize the pathway to achieving our 2050 goals, to include a zero waste environment through circular economy. And so one of the things that's important to call out is the fifth most significant action in the plan is to establish the development of a resource innovation campus, which is focused on bringing business attraction to the campus that can create waste and create resources from waste. So really looking at rethinking how we capitalize waste and make it a resource and something valuable to our economy. So as you can see here, back in 2015, Mayor and Council gave permission to use this land as a resource innovation campus. It's 40 acres co-located with our 27th Avenue transfer station, abutting our closed 27th Avenue landfill to the north. And then we have our compost facility located on there, as well as our materials recovery facility that we just reopened at 27th Avenue for recycling. And so the green parcels are the 20 acres dedicated to the C40 competition, which Amanda will talk more about. But just to give you a little bit more of kind of zeroing in on the parcels we'll be discussing is here in the green, which is 35th Avenue and about Elwood, is 20 acres of the Resource Innovation Campus, which the C40 competition, which we'll discuss further, is really going to hone in on to develop this resource innovation and this circular economy business attraction that we're really excited to talk about. So with that, I'll turn it over to Amanda Jordan to take it further.
Thank you, Felipe. Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee, I am excited to share with you what we've been working on for the last few years tied to the Resource Innovation Campus. For some quick history, as you may know, Mayor Gallego and the City of Phoenix joined C40 Cities in 2020. And in 2022, C40 approached us with an opportunity to participate in what they call Reinventing Cities competition. It's a global competition for zero carbon and resilient projects. It's a way for cities to take underutilized land and put it to highest and best use to demonstrate developments of the future, particularly tied to sustainability efforts. One of the key tenets of the Reinventing Cities program is the teams coming forth need to address these 10 climate challenges you see here on the screen. Green buildings and energy efficiency, sustainable water management, circular resources, sustainable lifestyle, and green jobs, just to call out a few. Furthermore, the teams also are required to bring forth their own financing mechanisms to get the vision off the ground. So the proposals received have financial development components that they are responsible for, which removes a lot of the stress and barriers to the city in terms of figuring out how to finance such a large development of this kind. So in December of last year, the winning proposal was selected. The selection committee was comprised of key leadership from Economic Development Department, Public Works, Planning and Development, Finance and Real Estate, and was chaired by Deputy City Manager Mario Paniagua. And the winning proposal was put forth by Krause Architecture and Interiors, which is a Arizona born and bred local design firm that has been around for over 25 years. They are award-winning and recognized for a lot of the work they have done to support the Rio Reimagined project as well. And so from the winning proposal, the Krause team will be taking the lead in terms of development and operations over the 20-acre site. And one of the components that really solidified them as the team that we wanted to move forward with was the pre-identification of business and technology partners, or as we are classifying them as anchor tenants. And so these snapshot here of these partners are the ones that will be bringing forth solutions to help Public Works and the city address more difficult to handle material streams, such as plastics 3 through 7, municipal solid waste, things that we don't quite have solutions for yet as we're working toward our 2030 goal. And then additionally, they brought forth some really great community and education partners that will be taking the lead in terms of designing the research and development labs we'd like to have, overseeing the programming in terms of an education room, a tour space similar to North Gateway Transfer Station when we bring folks for tours through the material recovery facility, as well as other educational and gallery space, which would be led by these partners. And so here on the screen are some snapshots of the building design concepts the Krause team has put forth, including the exterior, approximately 90,000 square foot building, as well as some of the interior design components where you can see they're really thinking through Phoenix in terms of heat and resiliency and designing for designing based on nature and the flow of air and sunlight and cooling systems. And so they've really thought through, as a local firm, what Arizona buildings really need. And so with that, you'll see here on the snapshot are 2 phases of development, which Chris will dive into further, but just for a quick overview. So the highlighted square is the full approximate 20 acres that was put forth under the C40 Reinventing Cities competition. And then the yellow circle within that is where we will be launching what we're calling phase 1, which will be 2 R&D pilots with 2 of the pre-identified anchor tenants. We wanted to commence those pilots so that we could start to generate activity, divert waste, create jobs, as we are allowing ourselves further site preparation for the remaining 20 acres, which includes wrapping up a phase 2 environmental assessment, land appraisal, and fair market lease rate assessment. And so rather than stalling out, we've come up with this 2-phased approach to allow for activities and development to occur. The R&D pilots, the first pilot will be led by Sabian subsidiary B Green. This is a UK-based company, and they'll be focusing on processing difficult-to-recycle plastics. Think film and flex, your chip bags, granola bar wrappers, all of those things that kind of don't really have solutions for in standard markets, as well as how do we start to tackle the waste in the actual black bin, the municipal solid waste. Some of the end products they will be creating for us from our waste streams include biodiesel fuel, which is pretty standard and could theoretically be utilized to fuel our fleet. Naphtha, which is the baseline molecular component to convert a plastic back into a plastic, so looking at highest and best use. And biochar, which is a nutrient-dense, rich soil amendment that could be utilized to help remediate lands within Phoenix. And pilot number 2 will be focused in collaboration with our wastewater treatment division on processing the biosolids and sludge coming from the wastewater treatment plant just up the road at 23rd Avenue. And again, those byproducts will be biocrude oil and the biochar as well. And so with that, I will pass it back to Chris Mackey to share our business terms.
Thank you, Amanda. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, as Ms. Jordan spoke about, staff is recommending to break this into 2 different phases. The first being the pilot phase, which is where we will work together with the Krause team We will learn the plastics that they need. We'll learn the materials they'll need. We'll learn what they can turn it into products. So really a test of, is this relationship going to work? Is this a good use of our property? And for us to be able to move forward. For that pilot phase, staff is recommending that permits are received within 24 months. Should council consider to approve moving forward with this. A ground lease of not more than 5 years. So the reason we'd say 5 years, it gives them a chance to get set up. It gives them a chance to utilize our materials and expand their relationship that they have with Director Moreno. The R&D activity that they would be doing, as Ms. Jordan stated, would be helping us achieve more of our waste diversion goals. And then the city's contribution would be feedstock from our Public Works Department in the materials that they are looking for to determine the quality of the materials. How can they repurpose them? Are we seeing success with both our Public Works Department and our Water Department? They would operate on 2.5 acres of the special operations area that Ms. Jordan highlighted in the yellow circle. But it really gives us a chance to get to know each other. Does this work? Is this a great way to move forward? Phase 2 are the pretty pictures that you saw with Ms. Jordan. The Krause team and the team with the Reinventing Cities would go out, they find their capital, they make the investment in the building, they bring their project forward, which you see in front of them with the landscape plan and connecting back to the river, creating a location where these additional companies can operate, where they can have incubator space. We would be responsible for approving, we would be brought in to approve any subtenants that come in. But at that point, if their pilot is successful, Director Moreno and I, under your authorization, would have the authorization to now move this into a 99-year lease and an expansion of that area. There is additional environmental and due diligence going on, as Ms. Jordan spoke about. A phase 2 environmental still does need to be completed to ensure that there aren't any barriers to development. Now, with those barriers to development, we could also, depending on the appraisal terms that do come back from our appraiser, those could also be deducted. Since they're improving our land, they're valuing our land, could also be deducted from that lease term. As they have an adequate proof of concept off of the pilot program, and then proof to Director Moreno and I that they have adequate financing to build the building, we certainly would not want them to start construction on our property and then not be able to move forward. So upon that proof, we would move forward to the 99-year land lease. That land lease is tied to a fair market value of an appraisal that is underway, and we expect back at the completion, following the completion of the phase 2 environmental work. Of course, as you can imagine, the phase 2 environmental work does influence the appraisal, so that value of the land would be based on that phase 2 environmental work that needs to be completed, but it would be at a fair market value as recommended by our appraiser. Staff is recommending that the waste diversion that the Krause team and the Reinventing Cities teams takes from us is deducted from their annual land lease rate. So this is real money that Public Works is spending today, our taxpayers are spending today, to haul off these plastics, to bury these plastics, to expand landfill for the water treatment, for things like that in the future. So this is real money the city is spending today. So our proposal is at the beginning of the year, they get a bill for fair market value, which will be due to us at the end of the year. At the end of the year, they would receive a credit from us for anything that Public Works determines was creditable against the land lease, and then they would pay the difference in that delta. But the city would receive the value of the fair market appraisal in that lease. And as you've noticed on the previous slide, it does say up to a 99-year land lease. Council would be authorizing us up to 99 years. It doesn't mean that the terms would need to be to that. We will come back to you and brief you on those terms in our monthly briefings with you as we work through those. With that, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, we do recommend that the subcommittee move forward the lease for the Resource Innovation Campus forward to the full City Council for approval, and we are happy to take any questions that you might have.
Wonderful. And I just want to do some further clarifying on what you were talking about relative to the lease and promoting the waste diversion. So and I'm going to use smaller numbers because it is Monday morning. If it costs us $1,000 to get rid of some of our City of Phoenix waste, that would, and they they actually divert that waste instead, they would receive a $1,000 credit, let's say, off of their $10,000 lease. Is that a fair example of what you were just explaining?
Madam Chair, you're exactly right.
Okay, wonderful. And then additionally, the pilot, in the pilot phase, you have helping city achieve waste diversion goals. Will they actually have benchmarks to achieve in order to determine if the pilot is successful? Because, right, they could do a very little bit, and will we set 5% or 10% or actual hard goals?
Madam Chair, absolutely. In our development agreement, should council choose to consider to move this forward, in our development agreement, we would have those negotiated terms. I would see in the beginning, they'll take less and build up over the 5 year as they really grow their operations on the campus. So you would see a different set of metrics at year 1 and year 2 and year 3 and year 4 to year 5 as they build to have that proof of concept that then Director Moreno and I feel is ready to move forward. But yes, they will have defined metrics of waste diversion that they need to move forward with.
Wonderful. Members, do you have questions? Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, my question to Christine Mackey, more than anything else, are there other projects through Reinventing Cities? Are there other projects similar to this anywhere in the United States that we can look at and get an idea of the level of their success?
Madam Chair, Councilman Robinson, I'd ask Amanda Jordan. She has been the one leading the research here and have her answer that.
Thank you, Director Mackey. Madam Chair, Councilmember Robinson, this is a first of its kind development. Through C40 Cities, Reinventing Cities, the program has only been around for up to 5 years at this point. When we joined, it was in the 3rd iteration. And at that time, the city of Houston was the only US city that had successfully gone through the process. But their project is quite different from what we're looking to do. Theirs was redevelopment of a closed landfill into a solar array and farm, which is not quite the level of development we're looking to do. There are international representations of this type of work, but it is very much a unique project to the US and to Phoenix as a whole.
Okay, thank you. And one last question. How do we measure success? Now, I think I know what it is, but can you tell Amanda, maybe it's you that would answer, what will success look like on this particular project?
I can take that one. Madam Chair, Councilman Robinson, members of the subcommittee, success is quite clearly diversion from the landfill. So as you saw those benchmarks that we have a 50% diversion by 2030. That's really our first milestone, and then getting to that zero waste. So, you know, that is one metric, is the clear diversion and prolonging the space of our landfill, lowering cost to haul 60 miles out to our landfill in the town of Buckeye, all of those good things. But also, you know, the other piece is the economic side, the value and the benchmarking we bring in to say what revenue, what job creation, what other opportunities are to do. Once we've diverted that waste, that's great for us on the public works side, but what more can we do to infuse those resources back into the local economy and create jobs, create revenue, and do other creative things? And that's where Chris is the magician on making that happen. And so I think this is a great collaborative partnership to ensure that we can do a lot of cool things that are, you know, are the first of its kind in the country, and being innovative on getting to that ambitious waste diversion goal.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hodge-Washington.
Thank you, Chair. Some of my questions were already answered. I just had a few more clarifying questions, but I want to start off by saying I am very excited by this project. The more items that we can keep out of our landfill, I think is better. And the bar is set pretty high. Our circular plastic microfactory was recently celebrated for its efforts and the things that we have done. So I see this as a step in the continued progression of achieving our zero waste goal. Out of curiosity, do we know what percentage of our, I don't know if you do it monthly or annually, our input into our landfills consist of this difficult to recycle plastic and municipal solid waste and the biosolids and sludge that we're talking about?
Yes, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge-Washington. Within the Solid Waste Management Division of Public Works, that content is being tracked and the data is being captured and monitored. I don't have exact figures off the top of my head, but I do know through our collaboration with Balcones Recycling, who is the operator of specifically our material recovery facilities, we can get the breakdown of the types of plastics that they are successfully selling into the end markets versus those that are being sorted out and having to go to landfill because there are no end market solutions. I believe we also have those figures as well in terms of the biosolids and sludge that we do collaborate currently with Wastewater Treatment Division of Water Services Department on. And then of course for landfill, I believe it is harder to specifically separate out because at that point everything is sort of mixed together within the truck as it's being transported out. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does, but I'll elaborate a little further. I'm trying to identify what impact we anticipate the 2 pilots of actually having on the on our current usage right now. Do we anticipate, for example, a reduction of maybe 10%, or am I just being lofty with my goals? I'm just trying to get an expectation set in here.
Right, so Madam Chair, Councilwoman Hodge Washington, really where we're trying to get is to that 50% delta between that 36 and 50%. So, plastics are a great thing to recycle because it's a nuisance, it's harmful. You see all the terrible commercials, things in the ocean, all of those things that are happening with plastics we can't recycle. But the bigger story in terms of the waste diversion and moving that needle is going to be around our organics. We had a waste characterization study in, I believe, 2015, and one of the things that told us was organics is the true pathway. That's all your green, that's all your food waste, all the things that we have a hard time figuring out how to process and manage through our traditional recycling program. And so our hope is with the work with BRISA and our partnership with Water Services, as well as the businesses that attract onto the Resource Innovation Campus, organics, as well as other technologies will be the focus to bridge that gap and really move that needle.
So is it safe to say that the difficult to recycle plastics and the municipal solid waste and the biosolids, they are a greater percentage of the items that we are not able to process more efficiently? So if we're able to come up with new technologies that allow us to incorporate those or use those more effectively going forward, that we will be more likely to hit the trajectory that we're hoping for, which is 50% by 2030?
Madam Chair, Councilman Hodge Washington, you're absolutely correct. Those are the 2 areas that we don't have a solution for. Our traditional recycling, we do a really great job at our material recovery facility to capture recycling, but those are the problematic, plastics being problematic for a number of reasons, but organics just having that other solution. We do have our compost facility, but this is next level to really capture and move the needle faster to get to that 2050 goal.
Thank you for the clarification. I guess, hopefully we are successful in moving forward with these items, not just for the environmental component of this, but also hopefully we are so successful, especially with the wastewater treatment, that we can come back and tell our residents that we can reduce that wastewater fee on their municipal bill. Thank you, Director Mackey. Thank you, Director Felipe Moreno, and thank you so much, Amanda, for the presentation. Like I said, the standard is set very high for you guys. You've come out the gate with full force, and I look forward to hearing more success on this future project. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Madam Chair, Councilman Hodge Washington, let us go back and work with our sorter to see that information, to get you those notes, see if we can get you those numbers to say, to your point, is it 10% that they are now diverting back into the landfill that comes in and gets sorted through our sorting systems, and the plastics can't be recycled, so they get then sent on to municipal waste. Let us come back with you with that number. So we'll get that for you in the next, before your formal meeting, but certainly come back to you next week with that information.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, if you could share that with the entire committee, that would be incredible. And
yes,
like those I'm sitting up here with, this is incredibly exciting. And you will hear me complain sometimes about how the city of Phoenix doesn't lead in other areas. So this is so wonderful that we are at the lead in this. I look forward to it being a success. And once again, I applaud the departments and the city on finding a way to, I mean, for lack of a better term, get to how to make this work. Often traditional ways don't set us up for success, And I really appreciate the ingenuity of Phoenix city staff in finding ways to get us there. So thank you for that. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any nays? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing this at City Council. Thank you all for being here today. And I don't believe we have any call to the public. All right. Are there any agenda item requests for the future? Okay, long awkward pause. Looks like no. And having said that, I'm going to take one point of privilege just to wish everybody an incredible and blessed Thanksgiving, however you choose to spend it, and see you all next week. So we are adjourned.